Today is the first philosophy class with my new group of the first year of baccalaureate. Therefore, students are 16 or 17 years old. Before explaining the two activities I've designed in order to this first lesson, I want to point out that the low complexity of them is due to the fact that it's a new subject for the students, since in their previous courses they had ethical values but not philosophy. The fundamental objective of both of them is that students understand the meaning of 10 basic concepts of the discipline in order to understand later the whole content of the subject. In the first activity, we will use a conceptual map, from which we will make a brainstorming with a large group. Each student will explain the meaning of each concept as well as why each of them is where it is and why we have three different colors. They have to come to the conclusion that philosophy contains all of them, so that is why it's with the largest letter and the rest of arrows came of it. History of philosophy, ethics, and epistemology are there with the same color because there are three branches of philosophy. History of philosophy has two blocks, because the first one alludes to the sophists, whereas the second it relates to Plato. Arete is a word we can include into the ethics. And finally, method is a path towards the knowledge that was established by the new science of the modernity. It's very important that during this brainstorming, the teacher shouldn't give any response, because there are the students who have to reflect on the answers. And the teacher will be just a guide, warning them of their mistakes or giving them clues, but anything else. In the second activity, the purpose will be evaluating if students have really understood the meanings of the terms commented previously. For that, I have designed a 10-question KAHOOT quiz. Each question has 4 possible answers, and 3 of them will be false and just 1 will be correct. The students have 20 seconds in order to respond each question. I have here 2 examples to show you. The first question says, philosophy means what says what is good and what is evil, feeling love to wisdom, a difficult as well as a boring subject, or thoughts writing for posterity. Okay. They must know that what says what is good and what is evil is about ethics, and that philosophy is a compounding, so philo means love and Sophie wisdom, so this blue box will be in this case the correct answer. And here we have another example. Arete means wisdom, technique, virtue, or knowledge. Well, arete is a Greek word that we said before we can include inside the ethics. So it seems to be a synonym of virtue. So this will be the correct in this case. I am sure you will be wondering right now why I have chosen Kahoot and not another type of questionnaire. Well, it seems to me a fun and a dynamic way to test knowledges. at the same time that students aren't aware of it. Although they are teenagers, they love learning while they are having fun. And we would have the questions and the answers projected, and each students would have an electronic device connected by a code, and they would say 4 different colors, each of them for each answer. So they have to mark the color they think is the correct. All the responses will be recorded in the teacher account. Once explained the 2 activities, I want to respond 5 questions. About the purpose, I think I have already mentioned, but fundamentally, I want to approach students to a new subject with 10 important terms I consider are essential in the baccalaureate curriculum. Regarding the structure, I would dedicate more than half of the lesson to the first activity, because realize that it has 2 parts. At first brainstorming, and later the establishing the relationship. Whereas the second activity lasts very little, just over 3 minutes. I would conclude the class with a sharing of whether students think the activities have served to them, because it's very important obtaining feedback from students in order to maintain the same methodologies or change them. Regarding the assessment criteria, I would evaluate one aspect with each activity. In the first, I would evaluate collaborative work, whereas in the second, I would put an individual rating. Both perspectives are important because the cooperative competence is as relevant as the autonomous work. In the second activity, I would count the correct answers. Each item is worth a point, and it's very important that the errors here don't subtract, because we can't penalize the failure already on the first class when we have new content. In the first activity, it would take into account the participation, the wealth of arguments, justification, or comments provided, as well as the respect to the other peers, and listen carefully to them. About the difficulties I consider we could find is that the students don't have any idea of any of the concepts, because they don't remember the subject called ethical values. So in this case, the teacher has to help a lot. And all the content which appear in the questionnaire has to be mentioned in the first activity. And in order to conclude my exposition, I want to explain why I consider the activities are innovative or in other words, what they have of creative or original. In this case, students are producing their own meanings by themselves, so they will assimilate them better. If the teacher would give to them a conceptual map without any explanation, it wouldn't have any sense. In the moment they are evaluating by a dispositive, an electronic device, it's very exciting and challenging from them. And at the same time, we are teaching them that the possibilities of the new technologies. The visual channel is very positive because it doesn't exist only the oral one, which is very monotonous. In this way, I will be preparing them to their lives and to their professions, teaching to work with others. And the most important thing is that motivating them, making them active, they will want to continue their learning.